I'm going to explain deeper why I think our society is undergoing what I like to call the Tower of Babelification of communication. A lot of people were hung up over the fact that I use the word gaslight as an example of semantic drift, but it's not the word gaslight itself. It's the infrastructure of how we communicate on social media that is fragmenting the way that we understand one another. As little as a generation ago, if you wanted to find people in your community, you would have to look in your geographical area to see who else was interested in the same things that you were interested in. If you were a goth, if you were a punk, and you wanted to find other goths and punks, you would have to look in your town or in a place that was close enough for you to physically go and interact with these people to talk about the stuff that you were interested in. The great power of the internet is that it's able to connect people who are interested in the same things, but maybe live on opposite ends of the world. And this means that it doesn't matter how far you are, you're able to find a community. Why is this important? Because when everybody has access to their communities 24/7, discourse happens at a breakneck pace. Slang, in-jokes, lore, that develops fast. Memes move, words take on ironic connotations or are used in hyperbolic contexts, and they can take on different connotations in the span of days. Semantic drift is a really normal part of language. Language shifts over time as people use them in different contexts. Like when someone says, "I'm literally dead right now," they don't actually mean that they're literally dead. You can't literally say that you're literally dead if you are literally dead. But the word literally means both literal and non-literally, because that's just how we're using it now. Most people would probably understand what you meant if you said, "I'm literally dead." But the difference with our infrastructure online now is directly related to how the algorithm likes to separate us into our niches. A really interesting facet of language in communities is that people develop shorthand ways of communicating big ideas. Take, for example, the archetype of the Chad and the Virgin, which borrow words and names from mainstream English, but they are used to represent the idea of perhaps a man who has it all. He has the looks, he has the muscles, he gets the girls. And the Virgin, who's this pathetic loser who is unable to attract the attention of women. And if you're engaging with that kind of discourse every single day, you're going to start thinking like that and you're going to start integrating that into your language. And that's just how you're going to communicate with these people in communities who really subscribe to the notions of a Chad or a Virgin. And when you're engaging in that discourse every single day, you're going to start assuming that is your reality. It's going to be a part of your normal. If you had said, "I'm a Volcel because I'm Chad Maxing. You guys can't get Stacy's like I get it. I'm so blackpilled." Like, someone from this community would just completely not understand what you mean. And that's just one community. There are millions of different types of communities online that are all developing their own shorthand for referring to big ideas in real time. As one individual person, you cannot be privy to every single community online. It's going to be really difficult, if not impossible, to understand what they mean. Take, for example, this Reddit post of somebody asking people in the RuPaul's Drag Race subreddit, "What does the house down boots mean?" So the concern here is that people are on their own islands of communication, and they think that that's reality because that's all they're being presented by the algorithm, because that's what's profitable and that's what the algorithm wants to serve you. And the concern long term here is, will this affect the way that we communicate with people? Will this affect the way that we understand each other over time? Will it be more difficult to understand people if their reality is so siloed into the niche communities that they've been pushed into? In fact, we're encouraged by the algorithm to identify with more and more extreme views because it's labelable and it's indexable by the algorithm. And we can absolutely see it in the way that we categorize aesthetic categories. When someone asks you, "What kind of aesthetic is this?" they're asking for a categorization so they can look up that categorization from an algorithm and request that algorithm show them more of the mood that they're looking for. So ultimately, what is the solution here? I don't want to be a doomer. I don't believe in being a pessimist. I think the solution here is to actually talk to people face to face. Sometimes something that you consider totally normal language is something that other people are not familiar with. I notice this sometimes with my friends because they'll see a video and it's viewed by millions of people, but it's in a totally different corner of the internet that is being presented to me. And I only privy to this information because I get to speak with my friend and they get to introduce something to me. Likewise, I think we're lacking something real and tangible in the way that we connect with real human beings face to face in face to face reality. And part of the way that we're developing our own language with these people that we're in community with online is because it's a way of connecting with one another. And language has always been that force. Language has always brought people together because speaking the same way tells you on an implicit level that we have the same perspective. We grew up speaking the same language. We grew up speaking the same code. You and I can understand one another. So the solution here is rooted in IRL community. Because whether we like it or not, the people that we interact with in person have different views than us. Sometimes people we're very, very close with, like family, can have very different views on radically different things than us. And it's really important to maintain a line of communication between those people because it gives you a sense for what is perhaps unique to the communities that you specifically are involved in and what is normal for the communities that they specifically are involved in. I think not being able to understand each other would be tragic. I think one of the great beauties of this human experience is that we do get to understand one another, is that we do get to hear other people out, and that we get to sit with different perspectives. And I'm not saying that our society is going to be Tower of Babelified. I'm saying that this is a direction I could easily see us going in that we could rechart the course for. So please let me know what you think about all of this. I am so curious to hear your opinion. But if you don't agree with me, please give me constructive criticism on my arguments. Don't decide that I'm a bad person and insult me because that really hurts my feelings. Okay, thank you.